Hi, I'm Andy Piddock, and this channel is all about making cool stuff and experimenting mainly with the LiveCode programming language. If you don't already have a copy of LiveCode, you can grab a copy of the open source community version at livecode.org. So let's get on then. I've been working a lot recently on web-based APIs, which involves a lot of repetitive coding to get the JSON elements out of their tree and into fields. The process is, as usual, very easy in LiveCode, but involves a lot of repetition, which I don't like, and I always try to eliminate repetition where possible. The process goes like this. First, you get your JSON data from the URL endpoint or local JSON file, then convert it to an array. Then you need to determine which elements of the array you require in your app and code for each of these elements to get at the data in the array. As an example, let's take the JSON output from SpaceX's API, and the endpoint that we're going to be using is for the next launch. As you can see, there's a lot of data here, and if I close this down now and have a look at the JSON that's been formatted in a web formatter, it's a bit easier to see what the information that's there and the levels that are involved. So let's say I wanted to get the core serial for the first stage core of the rocket. You can see this is 1, 2, as this first stage. Yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the tree, which you need to retrieve, turn into an array and get at that data. So in LiveCode, that would look something like this. Let's just take this out for the moment. Where we have our URL, which is going to supply the data. We're then going to convert the JSON that's returned into an array, and then we need to get at the element, which is going to give us the information that we require. And as you see, it's not difficult, but it's a little bit laborious, and if you're doing this on quite a few items, it becomes a bit repetitive, working out exactly how many elements you need to write out and what stage of the tree they're at. So I thought it'd be useful to make myself a little helper, as I'm working a lot with JSON data at the moment, to try and save me some time. So what I did is I built this little helper, and then once I built it, I thought, well, actually, this is probably something somebody else would find useful. So I prettied it up a little bit and put a little bit of error checking in there, made it a bit user-friendly. So now we'll just go through how the JSON API Helper works. You can load either a local JSON file or a web-based file. I'm just going to paste in here the URL for the SpaceX Next JSON dataset. Once you've got that in there, you need to generate a tree view from which takes all the JSON data. It's then turned into an array and then fed into this tree view. You can then quite easily, if you want to say, for the previous example, we can find the root for the item that we want, which was rocket, first stage cores, first core serial number, and what I wanted then was clicking on here to generate some code. So you click on here, you get the option whether you want to add it or not, and it shows you the LiveCode script to actually get the data out. I'm going to say yes. I've got a group here which is contained in this graphic, so we automatically now add a field, and if we click on generate script, you will see this is actually the script that would be required to fill this field out. So let's just take a few more examples. Here's another one. I just want to put a few in here. Second stage ships. And what else should we put? That's probably enough. So we've now generated 5 fields from our tree here. I'll create the script again because it's obviously changed. And we can test to see how this script works in relation to these fields by pressing the test button here. And you can see that not everything's working okay. The fields are being populated with the data from the script. And then simply to use this in your application, let me just, what I'll do is I'll start up a new stack, put it over here. I'm going to copy the group, go over here and then edit, paste objects, and I'm going to put in a button. Let's go and edit the script of the button. I want to now copy the script that we have here, which I want to put into this button, and apply it, and we can test see what happens. So let's just empty these out. I should have done that before we copied actually. So now we have the script in this button, which has been auto-generated for us. We have the fields in a group again, which have been auto-generated for us. And if we look at the project browser and have a look in this new stack, you can see here's our group API fields, and in here we have all the fields that we just generated. Something to note, if you look at the script that's been generated here, although these fields have been copied as part of this group, the API fields group, this script doesn't actually confine them to the group. I did this because I thought it was actually easier if you wanted to get the fields out individually and didn't actually want them part of the group. It wouldn't be a lot of work if you wanted to modify the JSON API Helper plugin to actually add the group name in there as well. Okay, so that's more or less it. As I said, what I should have done was, before I copied all these fields, was to clear the test data. So it would just leave the fields blank when you copy them over. Just to prove that this also works from a local JSON file, I'm just going to reset everything, which basically clears all the fields and all our results and scripts. And I'm going to load a local file. We'll take this, which again is the SpaceX JSON file we just saw. And again, we need to generate the tree view. And you see it works just the same as before. It's very, very simple to use, but if you do want more information, you can just click on the information button here. And I've put in a few example API endpoints which do not require an API key to get you rolling. So that's about it. I've done this to make my life easier, so hopefully it will help somebody else when they're working with JSON APIs. That's it for now. If you, again, as usual, if you like what you see in this video, give me a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on future projects. I'd be also very interested in any feedback on this little helper. Please, when you download it, make sure it goes into your plugins folder. It's designed to work as a plugin. And yeah, so that's about it for this video. Stay safe as usual, stay well, and see you next time.